We are back. This is your one and true lovely Comic Nights. Now, this is episode 9, and this episode is a bit different because Hippie Pat is not here. Our good, lovely, handsome man, Hippie Pat, has been under the weather lately, so that's why we are a week behind, and I also got his approval to go about this solo because, well, no offense, but when you're dealing with a white man, come on, we seen that, we know our history, the books and everything should tell us. One thing, ladies, gentlemen, this is a mature podcast. If you let your kids listen to us, that's on you. Don't come at me as a Karen unless you're one of those hot ones, but do not let your children listen to this. We are comic books, we are childish, but we do not consent anybody under 18 listen to us. But anyways, if you do, thanks for listening. So before I get into the main topic, I have two comic book story sales, a good and not necessarily a bad one, but one of those like, this bitch is stupid. But anyways, I'll start off with the good one. Came across a fine gentleman that was selling a decent lot of Spider-Man, and not Spider-Man, comic books. Spider-Man wasn't there though, but so I know some of you are hardcore comic nerds, so don't kill me on the not knowing the issue, but he had, he had Amazing Spider-Man, the first Molten Man, which I already had one, but low grade. This was a fine grade. Like, I'm talking maybe, my grade is like 2.5. This grade was 5, 6. But that one, first appearance of Shang-Chi, which, again, don't remember the goddamn freaking number or the title. What else did he have in there that I could remember? G.I. Joe. First G.I. Joe, issue number 1. First appearance of, is it Cobra? The Black Ninja cover one? One of the keys for G.I. Joe? I think it's Cobra, I believe. No, I think Cobra is the bad guys. No, I'm sorry, Snake Eyes, there you go. Not Cobra, what a dumbass. I'm sure people are like, this dude don't know his shit. What else do we have in there? I'm also drinking my coffee while I do this, so bear with me. What else was in there? God, it's freaking killing me. Fantastic Four Silver Ages, no keys, but these books were in great position for how old they were. These books came out like early 70s. It was a not single digit Fantastic Fours, double digit Fantastic Fours, I believe 90, 92, 93, 94. So, about to hit the hundreds, but again, like, these books were in 9.0 or higher, very clean, very sharp, no dents, ticks, nothing. Nice, beautiful comic issues, and I got them for a great deal. I'm not going to say how much, because I do believe the gentleman did mention to me he has been listening to us, so I don't want to really throw so much out there unless he wants to be nice and comment in the section, then we really appreciate it. But that was the good one. Now let's get to the more, not like I said, not bad one, but more like, this bitch don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I had a woman come across a home, which, keep in mind, she's a realtor, which we don't got problems with. But anyways, she's a realtor woman. I guess she came across a home that she was selling, trying to help one of the business partners sell. Pretty much one of those, selling everything to get rid of fast, ASAP. Well, she's selling the comic books that this person had in their home. Now, decent run of Spider-Man number 2, I want to say 288, no, around the 280s all the way to 305. So she's asking $800, but keep in mind, okay, when you hear that run, you kind of already know the run we're talking about. The famous Todd McFarlane run. Issue number 300. You already know, first appearance of Venom, which throughout the whole run of the comics she's selling, that book for, of course, grade always is in consideration for cost, but that's going to be the big hitter. Well, there's no 300 in there. There's no 299 or 298, and this woman was asking $800. And she was also selling some other comics that were in this lot, but one of them, the only other book, what was it that I can't, there was one other book in there that is decent key, but not, Spider-Man, I can't remember the issue, but the first Hydro Man. So anyways, again, she wanted 800. She even asked me, so keep this in mind, because I know I'm an asshole, but keep this in mind. She asked, well, how much should she be asking? And I told her, well, these books ain't in bad condition, but they're not in the greatest condition. You're looking at fair, maybe high fair plus. So I told her, if I were you, I'd be lucky someone be willing to give me 300, but if you really want to sell these quick, I'd say 200, like easy sell. I'm sure someone would come. Now, I'll leave comments in the section, but if that was me seeing this sell for 200, this lot, even though the big boys ain't there, I think I could do 200. But this lady went not crazy on me, but she gave me a look of like she thought I was trying to jip her, and she told me, you got nerve to come here and try to jip me. And I looked at her like, I didn't even say anything. It was one of those like faces I had on, like, are you serious? And she proceeded to tell me that I'm just like the other people that been trying to jip her for these comic books. She said that she knows these books are worth really altogether 1,200. She was selling to 800. And I even asked her, well, where did you get these prices? She said, I got them online. I asked, well, where? And of course, I'm not too mean, but I think she's a lying bitch, because she did not want to tell me where she got these prices. I asked her eBay, because I think everybody, of course there's other like sites, but usually everybody goes to eBay. She didn't want to tell me. She just told me, like, I feel comfortable if you left. Like, I know I could get more. And that was the end of that chapter of my life. Nice lady, though. She was real sweet in the beginning. She offered me tea. Nice lady. But sadly, and, anybody listening, tell me who's wrong here, because after what I said, and especially, 300, issue 300 in there, like I said, she'd be lucky to get $200. I was just saying you could probably get 300, but that's neither here or there. Now, I wanted to get into, so the topic is not really a topic. Well, essentially it's a topic because this is what we're talking about, but I had a question from a comment asking about, let me just get to it. So, from Snapperhead Comics podcast topic, your clean and pressing business. Tell the audience what you do and how you prepare books. Dry clean them and how you press them. You guys did a great job on an ASM 41, which was a 4.5. Noe, which is your lovely and truly me, dedicated an IG video on his clean and turned that 4.5 turd into a 6.0 bar of gold. You guys do a great job. Now time to be loud and proud. Well, we don't like to measure dicks here, but since you want me to. Anyways, this is an episode about answering this lovely gentleman's question. And thank you for giving us a topic, Snapperhead Comics. I really appreciate that. And by the way, just shout out Snapperhead Comics. Great guy. Follow him on Instagram. And thank you for following us on YouTube. Now, Before I tell the audience, I'm one of those people I gotta give credit where credit is due. I've been doing this. Okay, first of all, the cleaning business is not this. This Comic Nights is its own thing. OCD Restorations is another project me and Hippie Pat do, which is restoration on comic books, which is dry cleaning, wet cleaning, pressing, all that good stuff, staple removals, all the things you can think about. But that's a different thing when it comes to our podcast. Now, again, I'm only talking about the OCD side because, well, a fan is asking, so we're gonna give the fan what he wants. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. I have been doing this for a while, but I was taught, and I was by great technology these days. There's YouTube, but also there's a book. Now, this book has been around, I don't know how long, but usually when anyone thinks about cleaning, pressing, there's a book called Comic Book Stain Removal and Whitening. And I wanted to give the gentleman the fair spotlight, which this book is by Michael Frederick. I'm gonna probably butcher his last name, but Sorensen. Anyways, I was reading his, and yes, I've actually read his book, and I still go back and read these books when I'm cleaning, pressing, and etc. And I just wanted to give him the number one spotlight because his book has been out there for a while, and a lot of people refer his books, and I'm also gonna refer him as well. But I'm also going to give, because another genius who's big on the YouTube community is Immaculate Comics. And I do go by some of the things he says. And no shade towards any of these gentlemen. I have experimented doing other things but that I've experimented on when it comes to comic books. And me and Patrick are on the same head. We're on pretty much the same head-to-head when it comes to how we do it. Like, he's a little, he changes some things up in here when he works on the books, but that's because he knows what he's doing when he works on the books. He uses his magic on the books that he works on, just as I use my magic on the books I work on. And, of course, we swap them. Not the type of swapping y'all are used to out there, but the swapping of the comic books to see where we fuck up and correct our mistakes, because in the beginning he called me out on a lot of fucking spine ticks that I missed in the beginning, but I have got better. So when it comes to preparing a book I guess the phases. Now it always depends on who wants what, or what this person wants. When it comes to cleaning, dry cleaning, I use a cotton swab. There's the Absarine yellow putty stuff, which is still a good source. It pretty much helps grab the little stains of... It's hard to explain. I don't have a video, but it helps grab stains. There's the Magic Eraser sponge, which is good for grabbing grease. I have noticed like grease debris and stuff be pulled because of that. And I'm missing one. Oh, and of course your white erasers in the pin form. I forgot what they're called, but they're pin formed erasers. Of when I first dry clean, when it comes to any dry cleaning, I first do the cotton swab. Up, down, around, but of course pay attention to how dirty it gets, because if it gets dirty enough, you're pretty much still using that dirt to wipe that book. You're pretty much smudging the dirt back on. So always check after a bit of cleaning with a cotton swab. Check it out. If it's a little bit too dirty already, swap it, get a new one. Because like yesterday I was working on a dry cleaning book. I went through four cotton swabs, and that was still the beginning of the dry cleaning for me. Anyways, everyone goes about it differently, so no one kill me. So after that, whatever white that's on it, of course I work on a lot of Silver Age books, so usually the fonts have white. I was working on, I can't remember the issue, but the first appearance of Mary Jane Spider-Man, It's big Spider-Man logo in the front, but it's white. So any white on the front or back page, you get your eraser. I get my eraser, start going through it. Then after that, I use the Absarine. And with Absarine, well, just like any of these things you're going to be using, you need to be very delicate. And it took me a while to get to that delicate phase, knowing how to really, make love to the book when cleaning, because I did tear a lot that were in, of course, my books in the beginning, but I know the motions, I got it down. When it comes to Absarine, and this is a tip that I don't think I've seen a few videos where people talk about Absarine. It works. It's a good product, but what you need to keep in mind, and this is a tip to always remember, and this is because I messed up books because of this. So when you use Absarine, you're scraping, rubbing the book covers down, which, remember, that's a big thing. That piece is pretty much Play-Doh. So when you're rubbing it, using it, it's slowly breaking off those little pieces of the dough or Play-Doh. I don't know. We're just going to call it dough. It breaks off little pieces of the dough. So every time you're done, one page, make sure you wipe down the page with a dry paper towel or anything just to smooth the page back out. And also around your area, because that Absarine makes a mess. If you really use Absarine, because some people say they use Absarine, but it's a quick swipe. I actually rub down with Absarine and it makes a mess. So make sure you clean up after each one, front and back. And also, when I say wipe it down with a towel, make sure the book's clean of any Absarine dough. I made a mistake, not once but twice, doing it without cleaning it, checking. I threw it in the press, and what happened was, if you think about physics, is I threw it in a press, which of course we all know is heated up. After I was done using the press, I removed the layers that go on top of the covers and the bottom, and those little pieces of dough that were left on stuck to the page and the SRP paper from the heat. So when I took the SRP paper, it pretty much tore the page. I never tore the page to where it actually was a tear on a comic book's bad regardless, but I never actually ripped through the page. It tore it, which of course is not good, especially if you're trying to repair or restore someone's comic books. Luckily, this was my book back in the day. So just keep that in mind when it comes to Absarine. But besides that, great product. And then at the end, when I'm done with Absarine, I use the sponge, the Magic Eraser sponge, and I use that because it helps pick up some of that dough from the Absarine, and also, like I said, it's a good finisher for dry cleaning to me. Like it does help get those nasty grease not wet because that doesn't make no sense, but nasty, slimy, smudgy surfaces. It's a great ender, and that's my way of going about it, because I've gone Absarine, then cotton swab, or cotton swab, then sponge, and this for me works the best. Of course, everyone does things differently. But dry cleaning, that's when it comes to me and my dry cleaning method. When you're done dry cleaning, you need to do a quick press right after. Anytime you do anything to a comic book, which is a wet clean, a dry clean, after you're done, you need to pretty much essentially not give it the final press where you throw it in a tank or steam it up and then press it. You pretty much need to throw it in the quick press, which is pretty much you're going to be using the press on the heat settings. So after you're done dry cleaning, you should throw it in the heat press for approximately 5 minutes with 135 temperature. And you're going to let it rest for 12 hours. So that way the fibers pretty much smooth back out after you were done dry cleaning. Like I said, that goes even after you did a hop or attack method, anything when it comes to a phase of cleaning or repair you've done to a comic book, you're always going to want to hot press it. And some people probably don't do that. I do it because that's what I read in the book, and for me, I think it does help from what I've seen. Now, on to pressing. Now, pressing, there's different kinds of, like I just said, there's different kinds of pressing, but just like there was hot press, well, there's final press, there's another type of, oh man, I forgot what it's called, but let's just get into the, pretty much the final press, which is the, I'm done, I'm just going to press this and throw it in the bag and call it a day. So, what I do is I have a humidity tank, and if you don't know how to make one or you're curious on making one, it's real simple. There's videos out there. There's lots of dudes who pretty much show you how they did it. The comic book stain removal says how he did it. Simple, cheap, worth it. Now, I throw my comic book in the humidity tank for 20 minutes on to about 9.8, 9.9 humidity. I let it sit in there for 20 minutes with the tank on. All right? With the tank on. After 20 minutes, I turn it off and let it sit in there for another 10 minutes. So 30 minutes altogether, 2 sections of the humidity tank process. And this is for me, gentlemen. This method isn't in the comic book stain removal. I don't think I've ever seen a video. I watch videos of other people, how they do it, just because I like to learn or see if what they're doing is better. But I'm not saying mine's better, but this just works for me. This is the way I go about it when it comes to the humidity tank. So when I'm done, you're going to take it out. You're going to always get a backer board and find the center, which is where the staples are. What do they call it? The centerfold. You're going to put a backer board in there, nice, rush it all the way to the back where the staples are. Of course, don't apply pressure. Just put it all the way back as you can. Then you're going to get 2 pieces of 65-pound cardstock. You're going to put one under the front cover and one under the back cover. Now, that's your comic book sandwich, I guess, method when it comes to what needs to be inside of your comic book when you are pressing. Now, your comic book's ready to go. Now, let's get your press ready. So, press. You need to press. Well, I'm not going to say you need to, but this is the way I go about it. Press. Have your temperature at 135. 135 for 15 minutes. Now, I know I'm sure someone's like, whoa, this dude's fucking crazy. I'm not going to risk that. Hey, all power to you, bro. I'm just answering one of the fans' questions. Now, 15 minutes, 135 temperature. Now, you're going to get 3 pieces of magazine boards. You're going to lay that on the bottom. Oh, one more thing. If for heat pressing, I know some people use different materials, but I get the 2 aluminum pan sheets. If you want to know more about that, just message. They're kind of out there when it comes to any video you see, everyone's using them. It's pretty much 2 sheets of aluminum that are pretty much going to sandwich your board. Now, you get that piece of aluminum, you put it on the press. This is going to be under the comic book. Then you get 3 magazine boards, nice flat magazine boards, set them down. Then you're going to get 1 sheet of SRP paper with the shiny side touching the cover. So you're going to so you got your heat press, the bottom, you got your heat pan, your heat pan, aluminum sheet. You got your magazine boards, 3 magazine boards, your SRP. Now you're going to lay your comic book on the SRP paper. Now your comic book's on top. Then you're going to just do the exact same thing, but on top of it. So you're going to throw your SRP on top of the comic book, your 3 magazine boards, then your aluminum sheet, and then you're gonna close your press. Now, here's where it gets tricky, and this is one thing that took me not a long time, but a bit to learn. You want to hug your comic when you, for me anyways, that's the logic I tell people. You pretty much want to hug it. When you press down, you don't want too much pressure because you'll risk damaging, tearing, popping the staples, anything. So too much pressure is bad. So the way I go about it is when I slowly go down, I could feel, if I feel a light pressure, good. Like a very light pressure where you feel yourself pretty much hugging it, but not too much to where you're going to kill it. And then, like I said, that's pretty much it when it comes to the pressing method. That's how I do it. Then after the 15 minutes are up, you're going to open it back up and pull the comic out, and be careful when you do this because sometimes those aluminum pans stick. So if you lift it up too fast, it might go up with it and then drop right on the comic, and well, you know, that's a risk not worth taking. I'm sure you could agree with. You're going to take the comic book out carefully, like I said, and the only thing you're going to do is flip it over, but also replace the SRP paper. So 2 new sheets of SRP paper, but keep the method the same with the board, 3 boards on the bottom with the aluminum sheet. Everything's the same. You're just flipping it and changing the SRP paper. And you're going to do it for the same amount of time. 15 minutes, 135 temperature. After that 15 minutes is up, now some people go along, I'm going to tell you what I do, but there's another way I say maybe if you want to start doing this is the way you go about it. Me, what I do is after it's done, you know, both sides already, I open it up, I take out the SRP paper because now the comic book should be fully, not in a sense fully pressed, but also dry enough, meaning not having that moisture or fiber anymore on the comics from the humidity tank. So it's nice and dry. So I take it out. I leave that 3. Pay attention to those magazine boards that you have. If they're shifted, change them out. If not, I reuse mine just because if they're nice and flat still, I'll reuse them. So after that, you take out your SRP paper and you pretty much, that's all you're going to do. Take out the SRP paper and do it one more time to press, and then you let it sit for 24 hours. Well, I'm sorry, 24 to 48 hours. Pretty much it's going to be cold pressing at that point. And then that's how I go about it. Some people, after the second time you press it, when changing out the SRP, they'll leave it for 12 to 24 hours and then cold press it. Me, I kind of get right to it. I haven't had no complaints. That's the way I've always done it. But that's about it when it comes to that. Yeah, and always be sure you check your backer board that's in the center. Make sure you're not over pressing. I know I'm not there to really help, but like I said, you want to hug it. Those are the tips I'd say I could give you when it comes to this. Yeah, when it comes to pressing, that's about it. It could be time consuming, especially when people want you to do their books, which is, it doesn't bother me. It's fun. I like doing it. It's my hobby. The tacking, like ticks. There is another way if you come across a book that, like, let's say you don't know how to do the iron, and this is more advanced, but like there's the tick removal, which people usually use a flat iron, not the big flat iron, a tack iron. I'm sorry. People use tack irons for spines or like hot methods, single, which you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but heat over press, which is pretty much wet cleaning with pressing, but with a tack iron. But if you get a book that has ticks, a good amount of ticks on the spine, what I would recommend is, unless you want to go about the tack iron, but what I do is I got a little steamer, And Steam works magic when it comes to comic books. Just like Steam works spine roll fixes. Like that's one thing I know I'm really good at is my spine row fixes. Of course, if there's a bad spine already, then I won't mess with it because there's no point. But if you've got a decent spine, it just needs to be fixed back. I'm pretty good at it, and Steam's the key. Steam's the key, but ticks, if you got a ticks, get a steamer, run the steamer on the edges and the spine and the covers for a good, not, you don't want it to be wet, but you could see the paper loosen, and then you want to press it pretty much the same way you would press it, just like I said, with the 65 under the covers, the 65-pound cardboard stock under the covers, backer board in the center. No SRP though when it comes to ticks and stuff. Not for me anyways. I didn't see no point. So that's a quick one. And then hops are good, but hops are very dangerous, meaning cautionary. Like if you fuck up, you're fucked. And I've gotten myself out of fuck ups when it comes to hops, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot more backtracking. And what if you don't know what hop is, like I said, hop is heat overpress. Heat overpress meaning you're gonna get a piece of paper, which is usually printer paper. Let's say you got some stain, and you could use water. Was it peroxide, Immaculate product? But the thing is, all those get flagged. I'm not sure about the Immaculate, but for sure peroxide and any other chemical you use will be flagged. So if you want graded, that's not the way to go. But what I use is distilled water, which you don't get flagged. But when it comes to stain removals, sometimes you'll get lucky when you do a hop stain removal with water, but sometimes you don't. More than likely you'll get some of it out, but every now and then I get lucky and get it all out. Because there's only so much you could do for a comic book to say, hey, I'm done. Like, you can't fuck with it no more, especially older books. But a hop method's like, let's just say you had a water stain, those nasty water stain on the front of the cover. Well, you're gonna get a nice, like, let's get 65 pound cardstock, throw it under the page. Then you're gonna get a regular sheet of paper, throw it under the page. Now we close the book on the front cover. We're gonna get another sheet of paper, and we're pretty much gonna not water it down to where it's soaking or dripping, but enough to where the water is soaked up the water. Enough to where the paper soaked up the water to where it's clear, and you're gonna lay that wet paper, yes, that wet sheet of paper over the comic cover. And this is why it's cautionary and you need practice, because if you put it on with a ripple, any air bubble, any type of off balance, you are guaranteed 95% to ripple the page into ways that you probably could fix it, but it's gonna take a while, and if not, you pretty much messed up the process. And that's what I mean by being cautionary on it. But after that, you lay the sheet of paper, and you could throw it in the press or tack iron. I do both depending on how big the stain, but I usually throw it in the heat press. You pretty much don't leave that wet sheet of paper on top. You throw 2 more dry paper sheets of paper on top of that. Then you get a backer board or some type of thicker magazine board on top of that. You throw it in the I keep saying hopper, I don't know why. You throw it in the press for 125 for 15 minutes, and you let it sit after that for an hour. That way the heat soaks up all the as much it can when it comes to the stain, and when you let it dry, it's still soaking it up because it's hot. And then after the hour, you're gonna slowly and cautionary take off the paper that's wet, all that stuff, and hopefully you get a better result, which I usually do. Like I said, it never really fully takes it out, but it helps because to fully take it out, you're gonna probably need chemicals, and more than likely, you don't want that. And I think when it comes down to this whole pressing, cleaning, that's what I have for now. I don't want to talk too much about it anymore, just because Patrick Hippie Pat might want to throw his insight on this, and so I still want to get him on this subject. That's it, Snapperhead. I appreciate your topic, and it was a great topic. I probably was talking a lot of bullshit, and you're probably like, I don't trust this guy no more. But hey, at least I was honest about it. Showing. But shout outs, I want to give shout outs to Snapperhead one more time. Thank you for the topic. I want to give a shout out to League of Legends over here. Thank you, Javier and Dino. Thank you for being on our last episode. We hope to keep doing this. If you're listening, thank you for listening. We're still trying to get there, trying to figure out our foot in this door, whatever this crazy process brings us. Let your mom, uncle, creepy grandpa, let them all know, hey, we're just a couple dudes who talk comics, bullshit. We may not be big-titted women. And actually, we should be working on some type of advertisement, but maybe we could get more popular if we do some shit like that, but then we'd probably be making ourselves for sellouts. But if you have topics, please let us know. Comment, like us, support us, or just message us and talk shit, because we would definitely like to throw your comment out there. But thanks again, guys. This was Comic Nights. This is your boy Noe Q. Thank you for listening to episode 9, and y'all have a good one.